Good evening and welcome to the October 25th regular council meeting. It's due to COVID-19 and recommendations by Waterloo Region Public Health to exercise social distancing and public gathering thresholds that township council meetings are currently being held electronically. Members of the public have been provided with the following methods to watch or participate in this open meeting electronically. Number one is watch the live stream by accessing the meeting at the township's YouTube page. Or members of the public who were interested in attending as an observer or wishing to speak to any item listed under 7 items for discussion were asked to submit the request in writing to the clerk's division before 7 p.m. on October 24th. A link and telephone number has been provided to those who registered before the registration deadline. And finally, in accordance with the township's procedural bylaw, members of the public are not able to verbally speak to all items on the regular council agenda, but were able to submit their comments in writing for all other items. Members of the public who have submitted comments have been provided to the mayor and council prior to the meeting and will form part of the public record. I'd now like to call this meeting to order. Can I have approval of the agenda, please?
So moved by Councillor Rowland and seconded by Councillor Gillespie that council adopt the October 25th, 2021 regular council agenda as presented. Councillor Rowland?
Yes.
Councillor Osner?
Yes.
Councillor McCurry?
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
And Mayor Foxton?
Yes.
That carries.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to the Indigenous Territorial Acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples of Canada. We will now take a moment to reflect. We'll pause and reflect over what has happened, how we can learn, and hopefully move forward and make a difference in the future. Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none. We have delegations, Sandra Silva and Timia Brenner requesting an exemption for the mobile food vendors bylaw for an outdoor Halloween and Christmas market. Go ahead, ladies. You're on mute.
Okay, yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Sandra Silva and
I'm Timea Brenner.
Yeah.
So we are requesting a 2-day Christmas market on December 4th and 5th, with the market starting at 9:30 a.m. For the people that would like to attend and ending at 4:30 p.m. That does not include the setup time for the vendors and the teardown. So
the plan is to technically have 3 food trucks and about 15 outdoor tents. We have touched base with the building department, and we are basically in the works of ensuring that we are compliant with the building codes in that regards for an outdoor market as well. And we're also going to have a safety plan in place, of course, for COVID, and to make sure all the current protocols are in place before any of the patrons do arrive. I don't know if you guys have gone through the actual presentation. There is a layout of the lot itself and the plans of where we're going to place all these tents safely. So if you guys have any questions or concerns, we're here to answer anything that you may have.
Councillor Osner. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It says in our agenda that you are looking to do an outdoor Halloween and a Christmas market. You just mentioned Christmas market.
Yes, we have decided that we don't have enough time to actually do anything for Halloween. So our main focus now is the Christmas event.
Okay, thank you.
With weeks turnaround time, it wouldn't work.
So Ms. Sage, you'll blank out those numbers in the motion. Any other questions? I don't see any other questions. Except I have to save my money, right, ladies?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Sage, can we have the motion, please? And we'll have to go through it entirely to make the changes necessary.
So moved by Councillor Osner and seconded by Councillor Gillespie that the delegation from Sandra Silva and Timia Brenner requesting an exemption to the mobile food truck vendor bylaw for an outdoor Christmas market be received, and that Township Council provide for an exemption from bylaw number 1758-98 to accommodate the operations of no more than 3 food trucks to be located at 1302 Swan Street on December 4th, 2021, between the hours of 9:30 a.m. and 4 o'clock p.m.
And December,
I'm sorry?
Pardon
and
me?
December 5th, sorry.
Yes, you can do.
Oh, so you're asking for 2 days, December 4th and 5th then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, does
Sorry.
council have any questions about that? Seeing none, go ahead.
Sorry.
On December 4th and 5th, 2021, between the hours of 9:30 a.m. and 4 p.m., and that the exemptions be subject to the following provisions. 1, satisfactory inspection and approval secured from the region's public health department. 2, satisfactory inspection and approval secured from the fire department. 3, ensure appropriate public gathering and physical distancing requirements as set out by the province are met and adhered to. 4, ensure appropriate insurance is obtained and provide proof to the township. 5, permission is secured from the owners of 45 Stanley Street to be utilized for parking. And 6, secure appropriate permits are obtained from the building division for tents.
I agree. Yeah, we'll have all that in place, hopefully.
Councillor Rollman,
Yes.
Councillor Osner,
Yes.
Councillor McCurry,
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie,
Yes.
and Mayor Foxton.
Yes.
That carries.
And the next one is 7.2, which again is this Sandra Silva with Hitch Coffee requesting an exemption to the mobile food vendor bylaw.
Right. So basically for me to operate as Hitched Coffee daily from 9 to 7, I believe, and to have 2 food trucks Fridays and Saturdays.
So you're requesting this as a permanent.
Yeah, until the end of the year. And then I'll revisit how many food trucks, if anything, in the winter time I will bring in. Most of them don't operate in the winter. Some do.
Council, I'm going to recommend that we bring this bylaw forward soon and have a look at it and see if we do want to make changes. Councillor Austin, and then Councillor McCreary. Oh, Councillor Austin, you're off?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Correct me if I'm wrong, 2 parts to my question here. I thought we had extended this already to January 2022. The last time Sandra came to council. And the second thing is that I think that I agree with Madam Mayor. We need to bring this discussion on the bylaw back because we have to be careful because although I'd love to say like Hitch Coffee, great, you guys stay, you do this, we'll keep it on a regular basis. The trouble is it opens the door for every other food truck, and you can't pick and choose who you say yes and no to. You either have a bylaw or you don't. So I think before we do any kind of permanent extension, that we need to look at this bylaw and figure out how we're going to do it so it's constant across the board.
I'm going to, CEO McNeely wants to pipe in, but you meant January 2021, not 2022, correct?
Yeah, I meant till
No,
20.
I meant Councillor Austin.
Oh, no,
Councillor
I
Austin.
don't.
Well, no, we've already passed January 21. We're going
Okay,
into
that's
January
fine.
22.
Oh, no, that must have been a mistake on my end. I'm just looking for an exemption until January of 2020.
I understand that, but I thought maybe Andrew's going to clarify this with his
Would you
hand up.
please, Andrew, clarify?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So Councillor Rossner raised two items. The first was the historic approvals granted to Hitch Coffee. The last resolution of Township Council set a sunset of October 31st, 2021. So Ms. Silva has appeared before council seeking an extension to later in the calendar season. The other is the current mobile food vendor bylaw. Under the supervision of the township clerk, she's working with bylaw enforcement on a recraft of the current food vendors bylaw. The intent is that that would be published as a draft document and open for subject through community consultation through the month of November, with the intent of bringing a bylaw with a companion staff report before council in January 2022.
Thank you, CEO McNeely. Councilor McCreary, just a letter note for clarification to the delegates first, if I may. Sandra, what are you going for? Are you going for January 2021?
Right. Up
Okay,
until
'cause
January.
the motion says January
Oh,
20.
sorry. My
Yeah.
apologies. My years are mixed up. 2022.
So you want a full year?
No,
We are in
we're
2021.
in 2021.
So she wants to go until the end of
End of
this
this
calendar
calendar
year.
Yes,
Which
sorry.
is January 2022. Okay, got it. Okay, Councilor McCreary. Sorry, guys.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. CIO McNeely partially answered my question. The types of requests we're getting now are for-profit businesses. Previously, with our bylaw, we were only allowing the food trucks to come in if they were for fundraisers or special events. But now we're getting requests for them to be here as permanent businesses. And so I'm wondering if we're going to be considering a license fee or permit fees for these businesses. I did just a quick look at what some of the other townships were doing. And Wellesley Township, it does allow food trucks. They have a bylaw that sets criteria for the size of the food truck, where they can be located, et cetera. And they also require the food truck to pay a license fee. And the same with Wilmot. They have some criteria for both refreshment carts or vehicles, as they call them, but they also have a permit for hawkers and peddlers. So even a business that was coming in and setting up just for a day, such as we have with the Christmas market that's being proposed, that business would also be required to pay a license fee to set up for the day. So I'm just wondering if our review of this matter is going to consider license fees.
CEO McNeely.
Madam Mayor, through to Councillor McCreary. The bylaw that's being crafted by staff is looking at creating a tiered system as it relates to mobile food vendors. And I'll use an example. If there is a not-for-profit community organization coming together for a gathering, that would be under one set of categories. So for example, they may be supporting a minor sports event at a tournament or their weekly games, with some of the proceeds going to those sports organizations. There would be one set of parameters related to it. And the other would be, I'm going to call it a true commercial business that may be set up on a weekly basis or through certain seasons of the year at a specific location. And there would be a different rate applied to it. So we're trying to differentiate the two different models, and each would have its own trigger mechanisms in terms of where they'd be able to set up relationships to existing bricks and mortar restaurants and similar types of thresholds.
Thank you, CEO McNeely. Councillor Austin.
Most of my question was answered already, because I was going to ask that basically Sandra's just asking for an extension from October 31st to December 31st, just to finish off the year. I misunderstood when I read your report here, when it says you talked about the trucks and the 3 trucks and it says expires January 1, 2022. That's why I had the idea in my head that we had already approved it to the end of the year. So, so you're just looking for an extension.
Yeah, just until January to kind of get my ducks in a row and see where we stand in regards to how the community is doing in regards to the food trucks. And feedback's always important to me, and I want it to have a positive impact, not a negative one.
Thank you.
I see no other questions. Ms. Sage, could you read the motion, please?
Moved by Councillor McCreary and seconded by Councillor Osner, that the delegation from Sandra Silva with Hitch Coffee requesting an exemption to the mobile food vendor bylaw be received, and the Township Council provide for an exemption from bylaw number 1758-98 to accommodate the operations of no more than 1 food truck to be located at 1302 Swan Street all days of the week between the hours of 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. until January 1st, 2022. And that Township Council provide for an exemption from bylaw number 1758-98 to accommodate the operation of no more than 3 food trucks to be located at 1302 Swan Street, Friday and Saturdays only, between the hours of 9 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. until January 1st, 2022. And that the exemptions be subject to the following provisions. 1 being satisfactory inspection and approval secured from the region's public health department. 2, satisfactory inspection and approval secured from the fire department. 3, ensure appropriate public gathering and physical distancing requires as set out by the province are met and adhered to. And 4, ensure appropriate insurance is obtained and provide proof to the township. Councillor Rollman?
Opposed.
Councillor Oster?
Yes.
Councillor McCreary?
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
And Mayor Foxton?
Yes.
That carries.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Sorry, can I ask a quick question about
Sure.
the motion? Since they've already done all that, do they have to provide it again? Is it because they will need to get an extension? Like, I mean, if they have not provided all that information, like satisfactory to the fire department and licensing and all that, what, like, do they have to provide all that to the township again?
So we put it in there as a standard to the motion. I do circle around and we make sure that it's still, if it's anything's expired or if anything is out of date, then we would ask for updated documentation. But if the previous documentation is still relevant, then we would use that.
And there should be checks, Councillor Osnick. So Board of Health and the fire department should do periodic checks on our behalf, and they do. Board of Health does. But I'm not sure about the fire department.
I understand that. I just wanted to make sure that that Sandra understood that if the information she provided is still valid, then does she have to go through the work again to do all that stuff? That's all.
Councillor McCreary.
Have we had any businesses complaining about the food trucks that are starting to come into town? The coffee or otherwise, if any of it?
I have not heard of any. Ms. Sage, have we?
There's been none that I've been made aware of, no.
I did have one 90-year-old lady who said it's about time and we better not hold them back. No other questions or comments. We'll move on to the Muslim Women of KW requesting implementation of a municipal level recommendation and declare October Islam History Heritage Month in the region. And as Ms. Sage has stated in our bylaw, we don't do this. We had decided in our procedural bylaw not to recognize certain groups and do special things because there's so many of them so often. Now, does anybody want to change that at all or ask for an exemption to it?
Good evening,
Do you want to speak? Go ahead, Mary.
Mifra. Good evening, Mayor Foxton, and thank you for making that information clear. In that case, we will just ask the council to attend some of the programs that we are hosting to celebrate Islamic Heritage Month, and we are completely respectful of the policies of the council. And yeah, but we would still like to make recommendations for an anti-racism, anti-Islamophobia action plan, if that's okay.
Thank you. But you know what you can do is any information you want on Facebook and Twitter, we have a communication staff that will do that. So even though we don't, as a council, recognize it, we do allow those information to be passed on through the township's communicator. So any anti-racial things and that you wanted to present, you could email the clerk or myself, and we'll make sure that our communication staff gets it. And if it's appropriate, we will definitely Facebook and tweet it for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can I have the resolution, please?
Mayor Foxton, I do believe they have a presentation.
Oh, do you? I'm sorry. Go ahead, dear.
I won't take too long. I will just quickly go through some of the slides that we have made. I just want to give some background that we are actually presenting to other councils in the region as well. Am I allowed to share my screen? Thank you.
You should be, yep.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, are you able to see the presentation? I don't know why I don't see it on my end.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, thank you. So we are the Coalition of Muslim Women of Kitchener-Waterloo, and we call ourselves CMW for short. And we just want to make this very brief presentation on Islamophobia and racism. Just to remind everybody why we are here, that in June this year, this family of the family in London, Ontario, was actually mowed down by someone who was so fueled by hate that he believed it was okay to murder a family in broad daylight when they were just on the walk around the neighborhood. Islamophobia is real and it impacts people in real time. If you have ever talked to a Muslim in our neighborhood, and almost everyone will say that they have faced at least some form of discrimination or a hate incident or a snide remark, which is really hurtful. But you know, these are microaggressions they're talking about, but they're macroaggressions, real acts of violence that also take place within the community. I just want to make sure, are my slides changing? I don't know why I can't see them on my end. So just in July this year, there was a national summit on Islamophobia, which was chaired by none other than the Honorable Prime Minister Justin Trudeau himself. And there was a call for recommendations from across Canada, from various communities, on an action plan, a set of recommendations for each level of government, that is federal, provincial, and municipal. And the CMW conducted extensive consultations within the community, and we drafted up a list of recommendations for each level, and those are compiled in our list of recommendations. Here are some of the community source recommendation lists. Of course, there's one by the CMW, but there are others that we highly recommend that the council read if they can, which is the CCMW, Canadian Council of Muslim Women, and the National Council of Canadian Muslims, that is NCCM. These recommendations will be sent to the federal government. CMW has also sent their recommendations. So what do these recommendations look like at the municipal level? So we recommend greater or stricter harassment bylaws. We have an active hate reporting system, and we deal with hate incidents almost on a weekly basis. And if we believe that there were stronger proportional and constitutional bylaws, that would greatly help countering hate within the region. Also, we request greater investing in reporting and documentation of hate, which is very key because a lot of marginalized communities do not come forward and report the incidents that they have faced because of distrust with the systems. But you know, independent reporting systems do make a huge difference within communities. That funding, we need more funding to address Islamophobia and also other forms of hate, whether it's xenophobia or racism, better neighborhood programming, and more funding for leadership training programs for marginalized sections of the community, like young Muslim women, who are often the focus of a lot of hate and vitriol within the communities. I do understand that the council does not declare any month as any specific month for any community, and we totally respect that. But we would love to invite the council to partake in the celebrations of Islamic History and Heritage Month. So October is actually Islamic History and Heritage Month. And this was announced by the Parliament of Canada in 2007, and in 2016, Ontario declared it Islamic Heritage Month. Although the names are slightly different, the motive behind the same, to just remember and to commemorate the contributions of Muslims within Canadian society, their long history here, and also to learn about Muslim culture. We believe that what a person knows, that person doesn't fear it. So often, this is one of the first steps in eliminating Islamophobia, to just know your neighbor and where they come from and a context, instead of seeing them as other or outsiders. I will skip on this because we've already discussed this. But here's an event, a snapshot of the events that the Coalition of Muslim Women has co-organized with our partners to commemorate this month. So we are especially thankful to our partners, Kitchener Public Library, Waterloo Public Library, and the Schneider House Museum. Unfortunately, a lot of these events have already taken place. However, there was a huge response, a hugely positive response for the October 22 Lunch and Learn with acclaimed historian Hassam Munir on the history of Muslim in Canada. There was an astounding number of attendants in the program, and with very positive feedback. We also had acclaimed best-selling author Azmat Jalaluddin, who came in here. The Schneider House Museum actually has an ongoing art exhibition called Uncoverings that's going to talk about Mennonite women and Muslim women's head coverings and why they're perceived differently by the larger public. We also had a calligraphy demo. And finally, we have a lunch and learn coming up this Thursday by acclaimed journalist Shanaz Karmili on how Islamic Muslims are represented in media and how this may actually disseminate Islamophobia and biased narratives. Lastly, we just want to talk about a little about what CMW does to counter Islamophobia, racism, and xenophobia in the region. We believe in the strategy, what we like to call as BATES, bridge building, advocacy, trainings, education and awareness, and services for the community. What do these look like? So in bridge building, we actually have a lot of things, programs in which we collaborate with other community stakeholders. We would like to invite anyone who's interested to a program called Brave Circles, in which we invite members of the larger community to ask tough questions about Muslims and their culture, but with civility and respect. So a CMW-led panel will answer these questions to the best of our abilities. Teen Tales is a traveling culture show in which organizations can host a conversation and share tea and tales with diverse Muslim women and listen to their lived experiences. In the month of Ramadan, we actually partner up with a lot of community members and raise money for the Waterloo and Cambridge food banks. Just to reiterate the fact that we are privileged to have the resources at our disposal, and just to share that with some of the lesser privileged members of our community. Advocacy, we consult with the Waterloo Region School Board. We have 6 town halls this year with the Waterloo Region Police Services. We actually work very closely with them, with their EDI team, which is Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. We also conduct several anti-Islamophobia trainings, active bystander trainings. Some of the organizations that have sought our training are City of Kitchener, Wellbeing Waterloo, Waterloo Region Police Services Youth Initiative, University of Waterloo, Shore Waterloo, which was previously Planned Parenthood, Women's Crisis Services, Waterloo Region District School Board, and just today we had the Mennonite Central Committee. We also have 10 peer workers working in 10 different languages who have bi-weekly sessions with the community with awareness and education programs, educating the people about hate crimes, hate incidents, discrimination, also information sessions on things like family law, vaccination, domestic violence, etc. And here is what I would like to focus on. These are the services that the CMW has for the community. We do not charge for any of these services. We have a hate reporting system called reportinghate.ca. I have to emphasize that no one has to identify as Muslim to access these supports. Anyone who has experienced xenophobia, racism, or Islamophobia can document the incident with us, any hate incident, hate crime, or discrimination, and seek one-on-one supports. Now, what do these supports look like? It can differ from victim to victim. Some people may just need trauma counseling. We do the referrals. We don't charge the victims for those. Some people may need advocacy help when they want to talk to the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal or when they want to reach out to the police. But there's a path-breaking program that we have in collaboration with our partners at Community Justice Initiatives, or CGI. It is called SULA, which is basically mediation and restorative justice approaches. So there could be a conflict between, say, two neighbors, and it's a race-based conflict. Again, there's some racial slurs being uttered, and the police can't really do much here, nor is this the job of the police. So we have trained mediators who could come here between them and just help them talk it out, mediate, and offer reconciliation processes. So this is what basically what the CMW does. And yes, that is all from my end. I just hope that the council will take the time to read the recommendations and support organizations like the CMW. And we are committed to counter any sort of racism, hate, and xenophobia, Islamophobia within the region. And again, I have to mention, the victims do not have to identify as Muslims to reach out to us. It can someone who has witnessed the crime or hate incident can also reach out to us. People can also do so anonymously, and they can also do it in one of the 10 available languages that we have. Thank you for your time.
Is it Mifra? Is that how
Yes.
you say your name?
Yes.
Mifra, how long has it been this organization been in existence?
It's been 11 years now.
Okay, I knew it was quite a long time, well, before I was mayor for sure. You've done an amazing job. Your group has done, they are one of the most recognized groups in the communities, very respected, and you deserve a real hand of applause for what you've accomplished so far. It is amazing what you've done. So like I said, anything you want to Facebook or tweet book out, especially the anti-racism stuff, the anti-hate stuff, we would be more than happy to work with you on that. So thank you so much for coming. And can I have the motion, please, Ms. Sage?
Moved by Councillor Rowland and seconded by Councillor Osner that the delegation from the Coalition of Muslim Women KW be received with thanks. Councillor Rowland,
In favor?
Councillor Osner,
Yes.
Councillor McCreary,
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie,
Yes.
and Mayor Foxton.
Yes.
That
And once
ca-
again, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night. Next, we have Committee of the Whole reports. And you do not have to read the motion in its entirety unless you really want to, Ms. Sage. How many pages is it? It's just 2 pages. You do not have to read it in its entirety. Unless anyone has questions about it before we pass the motion? Seeing none, Ms. Sage, go ahead.
So moved by Councillor McCreary, seconded by Councillor Gillespie, that council adopt the following recommendations as listed in items A to H as on the agenda as presented by Committee of the Whole dated October 12th, 2021. So that's item A, report FIN-26 2021 Trust Fund Friends of the Library proposed plan as presented. Report number FIN-27 2021 financial update, September 30th, 2021 as presented. Report number FIN-28 2021 Safe Restart Grant and COVID funding update as presented. Report number PW-15 2021 Traffic Calming Measures, Policy and Guidelines as presented. Report CLK-17 2021 Animal Control Agreement 3-year extension as presented. Report CLK-19 2021 suspending the rules of the procedural bylaw as presented. Report number bylaw-03 2021 proposed exotic animals bylaw as presented. And report CAO-26 2021 joint training service level agreement for the fire department as presented. Councillor Rowland,
In favor?
Councillor Osner,
Yes.
Councillor McCreary,
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie,
Yes.
and Mayor Foxton.
Yes. And just to note, the November 22nd meeting, has our calendar invites been updated to the correct time?
We will do that this week for sure.
Thank you. And next we have minutes 8.2.1 to 8.2.4. Is there any questions on the minutes? Councillor Osner.
Thank you. It's in regard to 8.2.4 regular council meeting minutes dated September 27th. I'm just wondering if I can get an explanation. I thought that was the meeting that we discussed and struck down the decision for the apartment buildings turning into condos, and I brought forth a motion to bring to the region that council did not support it and council supported the motion. Am I missing something, or do I have the wrong meeting?
Can we pull that one, Ms. Sage, and you can look into it and get back to us at the next council meeting?
Yeah, I just reviewed it. It's on page 20 of 30 of those minutes. You'll
Thank
see
you.
that motion has been included.
Thank you. Did you find it, Councillor Austin?
No, sorry, I'm looking.
Yeah, for Monday, September 27th. It's on page 20 of 30.
Okay, and what about the motion to advise the region that council does not support the application?
Well, if the motion is there saying we turn down the apartment buildings, then that means that goes to the region that we're not supporting it.
Mhm.
So that motion is the same one. If we turn it down, that goes on the region's notes that we're not supporting it.
Okay,
Yes.
I was just under the understanding that part of the motion was, and that we advise the region that we do not support this application.
I don't recall that. I recall that I said I would speak to the region and, but that was turning it down becomes just like our public meetings where we make comments. So in the comments, they say approve or no concerns. And in this, we said we do not approve. CEO McNeely?
So, Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Oster, because the township was a commenting agency to the region, the actions of council to not support the creation of a condominium at 170 and 180 Northumberland is automatically sent as the township's comments to the region in that regard.
So we're insinuating that comment.
We're not insinuating. The actual resolution is sent to the region saying this is the position of township council related to those two proposed condominium applications. That council did not support the conversion to a residential condominium.
Okay, so let's have the motion, please, if there's no other comments in regards to the minutes. Motion, please, Ms. Sage.
So moved by Councillor Ossner and seconded by Councillor Gillespie that council approve the following minutes. Special joint council meeting minutes dated June 23rd, 2021. Special joint council meeting minutes dated August 30th, 2021. Committee of the whole meeting minutes dated September 13th, 2021. And regular council meeting minutes dated September 27th, 2021. Councillor Rowland?
Yes.
Councillor Ossner?
Yes.
Councillor McCurry?
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
And Mayor Foxton?
Yes,
That carries.
thank you. Next, we have the report on the municipal law enforcement officer appointments. Any questions first? Seeing none, can I have the motion, please?
So moved by Councillor Rowland and seconded by Councillor Gillespie that report CLK-20-2021 be received and that council enact bylaw number 3284-21 being a bylaw to appoint a municipal law enforcement officers for the township of North Dumfries for the purposes of parking enforcement only. Councillor Rowland?
Yes.
Councillor Ossner?
Yes.
Councillor McCurry?
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
And Mayor Foxton?
Yes.
That carries.
Next, we have up the SCABA apparatus, the self-containing breathing apparatus for the fire department. Do I have any questions? Well, you guys must write good reports. So on that note, you do not have to read it in its entirety, Ms. Sage. Go ahead.
So moved by Councillor Gillespie and seconded by Councillor Rowland that FD report 05-2021 be received, and that's as presented in the staff report. Councillor Rowland?
Yes.
Councillor Ossner?
Yes.
Councillor McCurry?
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
And Mayor Foxton?
Yes.
All right, that carries.
Next is the list of correspondences. Does anyone have any comments on correspondences? There was two I didn't know if you wanted to do or not. And I don't know if some of them may be passe based on what was said on Friday, but one is the hospital protests and schoolyard protests. Now, I passed the motion at the region of Waterloo that they not be allowed and that the police charge the individuals that do try and protest on hospital grounds, preventing patients to get into the hospital, or also on school grounds. Now, I'm not sure that if this council wants to endorse the same type of thing or not. It's sent to the premier and to the province. No, seeing not, that's okay. The other thing was, Ms. Sage, on page 118 was the long-term care motion, and it went to whereas, and then it never, the page missing with the conclusion was gone. So it's 118, and then it goes to 119, which is a different thing. So what was the conclusion of that motion?
I'd have to relook at what was sent to me to see if there was something more or if that was all that they sent me.
Well, usually in a motion, you don't say whereas and whereas, because whereas is explaining. And then you have the conclusion, therefore, we're requesting this, and it's missing the therefore. So maybe you could find out for us for next council meeting.
Certainly.
Thank you. And that's all I had. So can I have the motion for correspondence, please? And you don't have to read it in its entirety.
So moved by Councillor McCreary and seconded by Councillor Rowland that council received the following items, 11.1.1 through to 11.1.6 as presented. Councillor Rowland?
Yes.
Councillor Ossner?
Yes.
Councillor McCreary?
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
And Mayor Foxton?
Yes.
That carries.
Next up, we have external minutes. Does anyone have any comments on the external minutes? Seeing none, can I have the motion, please?
Moved by Councillor Gillespie and seconded by Councillor Rowland that council received for the purposes of information the following items. Region of Waterloo minutes dated August 4th, 2021, August 18th, 2021, September 8th, 2021, September 13th, 2021, September 22nd, 2021, and October 12th, 2021, and the Grand River Conservation Authority minutes dated August 27th, 2021. Councillor Rowland?
Yes.
Councillor Rossner?
Yes.
Councillor McCreary?
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie?
Yes.
And Mayor Foxton?
Yes.
That carries.
Number 12 is other business. Does anyone want to bring or discuss anything? Councillor Gillespie.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just commenting on the report on amalgamation. There's been quite a few articles in the paper lately, and they're having difficulty accessing the true report. And I think it is important, since the taxpayers paid for this report, that it should be made available. So I'd like to make a recommendation that we send out to the government that they make this paper accessible to all.
We've already made a previous motion. CEO McNeely, would it be appropriate to redo the motion?
Madam Mayor, you are correct. We did, and I apologize, I can't remember the exact time frame, but it was pre-pandemic. Council did endorse a resolution asking for the release of the report. There is no harm in council adopting a resolution in the current period. We did not receive a reply from the province to our original resolution.
So maybe at our next meeting, can we have that resolution brought back and we can re-endorse it? Thank you, staff. Anything else, councilors? And there's nothing from the mayor or council's reports. We are now at the bylaws. Ms. Sage. The exotic animal bylaw, please.
So moved by Councillor Gillespie and seconded by Councillor McCreary that the following bylaws be taken as read a first and second time. Bylaw number 3281-21 being a bylaw to regulate exotic animals in the Township of North Dumfries, and bylaw number 3284-21 being a bylaw to appoint a municipal law enforcement officer for the Township of North Dumfries for the purposes of parking enforcement. Councillor Roman,
Yes.
Councillor Osner,
Yes.
Councillor McCreary,
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie,
Yes.
and Mayor Foxton.
Yes.
That carries.
Ms. Sage, can I stop you for a minute? Do you know, when is our next meeting, council meeting?
We do have a planning meeting tomorrow evening, and then November 8th is our next committee of the whole meeting.
Okay, and at that meeting on the agenda will be whether we will withdraw the Emergency Operations Center. And we'll have a lengthy discussion on that at that time to see where we're at as a province and whether numbers are going up or down, or with the difference in the change in regulations, it may be time, but that's something that we'll discuss at that meeting. Okay, thank you. There's nothing enclosed. So I guess we are at the
We do have third
bylaw.
reading.
Yep.
So moved by Councillor Roloman and seconded by Councillor Osner that the following bylaws be taken as read a third time and finally passed. Bylaw number 3281-21 being a bylaw to regulate exotic animals in the Township of North Dumfries, and bylaw number 3284-21 being a bylaw to appoint a municipal law enforcement officer for the Township of North Dumfries for the purposes of parking enforcement. Councillor Roloman,
Yes.
Councillor Osner,
Yes.
Councillor McCreary,
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie,
Yes.
and Mayor Foxton.
Yes.
That carries.
And the confirmatory bylaw, please.
Moved by Councillor McCreary and seconded by Councillor Osner that bylaw number 3285-21 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council on October 25th, 2021 be read a first, second, and third time and be finally passed, signed, and sealed by the mayor and clerk. Councillor Roloman,
Yes.
Councillor Osner,
Yes.
Councillor McCreary,
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie,
Yes.
and Mayor Foxton.
Yes.
That carries.
And the adjournment, please.
So moved by Councillor Gillespie and seconded by Councillor Roloman that whereas business before this regular council meeting has been completed at 7:47 p.m. and be it resolved that this meeting adjourns and meets again on October 26th at 7 p.m. for a public planning meeting. Councillor Roloman,
Yes.
Councillor Osner,
Yes.
Councillor McCreary,
Yes.
Councillor Gillespie,
Yes.
and Mayor Foxton.
Yes.
That carries.
Are there any comments from members of council? Are there any questions or comments from the press?
There is no questions from the press.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.